Welcome everybody to a look at the next two films in the Todd Slaughter box set released by Indicator, and the first of which is 1937's The Ticket of Leave Man. So this is from 1937, directed by George King, who's directed 6 of the 8 in this box set. And it's a thriller, clocking in at 71 minutes long, which makes it the longest film in this box set. And it's about a man who is accused of a series of murders that were actually committed by a crazed killer called the Tiger. He must prove his innocence and catch the murderer. So although this recycles some elements from prior Slaughter films, and it isn't quite as dark as its predecessor, as that literally starts out with the murder of a child, it is still nonetheless an overall fun effort, with Slaughter being as great to watch as ever, as he relishes in being pure evil. The supporting cast is also rather good, it is entertaining throughout, the plot is engrossing, unlike other Slaughter-led efforts that we've already talked about, it doesn't outstay its welcome. So yeah, overall a solid film, but not quite as remarkable as say its predecessor or the Sweeney Todd film. But still, a solid 3.5 out of 5. And then secondly, we have from 1938, Sexton Blake and the Hooded Terror. So this is once again directed by George King. It's a crime film, clocks in at 70 minutes long, so it's the second longest in this box set. And it's about Sexton Blake and his efforts to defeat a major crime organisation headed by Michael Laron, a famous stamp collector and millionaire. So there were two prior Sexton Blake films to this one, to also star its lead George Curzon. They were Sexton Blake and the Bearded Man, and Sexton Blake and the Mademoiselle, I think they were called. But I've looked high and low and I can't find them anywhere. So maybe they're lost to time or something like that. But yeah, it's a real shame that I can't get my hands on the previous two. Although this is widely considered to be the best of the three films, which doesn't bode well because this is easily my least favourite of the Todd Slaughter films that we've had in this box set so far, and that is purely because he is playing second lead to our hero Sexton Blake, which means he isn't on screen anywhere near as much as the prior films that we have seen, which is ultimately a bad thing. So I can see why, because obviously Sexton Blake is in the title, and therefore he's going to be the lead character, but I feel like they could have balanced it a little bit more to have, Todd Slaughter be involved somewhat more in the plot. And considering it's 70 minutes long, to not have him anywhere near as much in this film does mean that some parts of this aren't anywhere near as entertaining as the prior efforts. This is also quite clearly a rip-off of Sherlock Holmes. Now, granted, the Sherlock Holmes films hadn't really gotten into their stride until I think this year or the year later. So, in terms of films, Sherlock Holmes weren't, well represented, I don't believe, as yeah, we were well off the massive amount of films coming out with the Basil Rathbone series. But still, you can tell that this is a rip-off. I mean, it's literally set in Baker Street. He's also got a sidekick that helps out in his investigations. He's also got an elderly housekeeper who really does come across like the one in Sherlock Holmes. So and whether or not it's intentional that it's ripping off the Sherlock Holmes, fictional character, in terms of being a parody, or that it is just a typical knockoff, isn't really made clear because it doesn't feel like a parody in a lot of ways. There isn't really much attempt in the way of comedy, so it's a bit muddled in terms of its execution in that regard. But that said, Slaughter is still highly enjoyable to watch. The rest of the cast is good, it is generally engrossing, and it is overall entertaining. But yeah, like I said, it's easily my least favourite of these films that we've talked about so far from this box set. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give it 3 out of 5. So easily the low point in this series so far, which is a real shame. But still, at the end of the day, it's still a short effort. It's a reasonably well paced effort. So even though, there's not as much slaughter, at least it gets through the plot quite quickly, and it's entertaining for the most part along the way. So which is a little bit of a shame to have a low point in this box set. For the most part, this box set has so far been really rather consistent. All the other films have been 3.5 or 4 star out of 5. So to come down to 3 is a little bit of a shame, but still, both of these are still well worth watching. And don't let my 3 stars out of 5 put you off this box set as a whole, because ultimately this is only one film that has been a bit of a low point, whereas the rest of the films have been mostly entertaining. So on the whole, I'm still recommending this box set, but we do have 2 more films to review. So who knows? how that's going to end, but still, I look forward to seeing them, and hopefully you will be watching me review them as well. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.